I mean, I also just think journalists have, we generally have no shame. So journalists are basically gossips. Yeah, no, don't tell me your secret. Monday, alebombo muntu. Tuesday, alebombo muntu. Wednesday, alebombo muntu. It's Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zambia What a Day. Our podcast runs Monday to Friday. We're taking a look at some of the biggest news stories in Zambia. And today, we're back Wednesday, the 21st of August, 2024. I am Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. And when I say I am, reminds me of one of the promos we have, and it's of my colleague. It's like a news promo, and it just suddenly starts with a guy who says, "I am." So it's funny when we say that. It's like an inside joke. What's coming up on the podcast? These are the stories making headlines. We have been covering this story since last week. Aflatoxin in Mealie, a toxic substance in Mealie that is supposed to be eaten by people, but also this poisonous substance is there in dog food, and over 400 dogs have died since the aflatoxicosis outbreak. This was confirmed yesterday by the Minister of Health, despite us having started covering it last week. Shadrach Kasanda has been making news, and yesterday the state entered a nolle prosequi in a case where he was accused of having stolen $5 million in an aggravated robbery case, but some more dramatic turn of events in the evening of that developing story. But also, one of the other stories making news is Open Sewer leaves Kanyama residents in fear of another cholera outbreak. We'll be getting into detail into that. Have you noticed the upgrade? We've got a tablet. We're not using pieces of paper anymore. You know, I'm feeling like I'm on smooth talk. I've got the tablet and all that. They call me Smooth IK. You know, he's like the first TV host who had a tablet on his show or something, isn't it? Like, I remember back then when he would hold the tablet, and just do his thing. But let's start off with one of the serious stories that has been very, very worrying for me. Can I put it properly? Yeah, awesome. I think that's better. Oh, I'm the one controlling the sound. Okay, great. So over the last few days, we have been covering, and I've been investigating this story on aflatoxin in Mealie and dog food. We started this with releasing the first piece on Friday, and my colleagues released further stories on Saturday and Sunday. And yesterday, the Minister of Health confirming aflatoxins in 10 milling brands that has led to the death of over 400 dogs and is a health hazard to human beings. According to the Minister of Health, Dr. Elijah Muchima, out of 25 samples of maize meal collected, 13 tested positive for the harmful substance. He couldn't name the brands, and he says that it is because of ongoing laboratory tests. If he names the brands at the moment, it would provide the impression that there are some safe brands out there. But the problem is not the Mealie meal, it's the maize, the source from which the Mealie meal is made. We covered this story and, just a bit of an explanation into what the minister said. So let's take a look at this on what he said, and then we'll come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great concern that I address the nation today regarding detection of 11 aflatoxin levels in selected maize meal sold on the Zambian market. An alarming number of 100 dogs have died in the past month due to suspected contaminated feed, thereby raising significant concerns about the safety of our food supply. Post-mortem examinations conducted on the deceased dogs also confirmed aflatoxin toxicity and laboratory results corroborated these findings. Aflatoxins are toxic compounds produced by certain moths that grow in soil, decaying vegetation, hay, and grains. These toxins pose a severe health risk to both humans and animals. In humans, aflatoxin exposed can lead to acute liver damage, liver cancer, immune system suppression, and other chronic health issues. Given the gravity of these risks, immediate and comprehensive action was necessary. Acting proactively, the Minister of Health, through its Public Health Security Wing, the Zambia National Public Health Institute, convened a One Health stakeholders meeting to address this issue through a holistic, multidisciplinary approach. This meeting included representatives from the Ministry of Health, Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency, the Lusaka City Council, the University of Zambia, private veterinary practitioners, Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock, Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and the Zambia Consumer Association. This multi-sectoral team of inspectors, coordinated by Ministry of Health, conducted field investigations and sampling of maize meal, including animal feed. This was essential because many milling companies produce products for both human and animal consumption. To date, about 10 milling companies have been inspected and more than 25 samples of maize meal collected. And it is with deep concern that in the report, 13 of these samples have been found to contain aflatoxin levels exceeding acceptable standards.
Good afternoon, Minister.
Yes, please.
My name is
Philip
Chisalu
Chisalu.
from Yes, from Newstakers Newspaper. I've got two questions. The question is that the maize that was actually made into Mealie as well as animal feed that contains aflatoxin is the one that is coming from Tanzania. Are you able to confirm such speculations? And my other question is, what are the names of the brands of Mealie that investigated, and how wide?
This is the first one, eh? The second one, how wide?
Yes, was the Mealie.
I totally agree with you that there is need to worry. But in my address, I said we are intensifying sampling. And so far, all the organizations, local government, Minister of Health, we are in the lead. We shall be able to distinguish, first and foremost, where these samples were positive. We want to cut out a trail. Where did they get this maize from? Is it mixed? Is it from Tanzania? Is it from Zambia? For us to deal with this issue adequately. And we shall come back and inform the public. And of course, there is need to worry. The public will be made aware, as we have said, that we need to sensitize the public through television, through radio stations, and community radio stations. This we need to publicize, though it will have a negative effect on the sales, and also it might cause a lot of fear in the people, and they might run away from eating maize. Kamuyua. I don't know. We have to come up with a formula how to deal with it.
My worry with this story has been the fact that government took so long to bring it out. And one wonders if at all government was going to issue a statement with this if we didn't bring this to light. But also, the issue is it should have been brought to light immediately. There was a concern, right? The moment there was a concern, the moment there were milling companies that were recalling their product off of the market, this should have been brought to light. And this has consistently been my argument through all of this. You can't secretly recall a product. You can't secretly recall it. It's not allowed. You can't secretly recall a product. If it's faulty devices, you need to notify people that you are recalling faulty devices. Why? Because some of those devices would have already been purchased by people. If you take Mealie meal to a supermarket, and this is a consumable, the moment you take Mealie meal to a supermarket, trust me, when it gets on the shelf, somebody is going to buy it. And I can confirm here that we did speak with one supermarket who said that a milling company contacted them to recall their product, but they couldn't recall it because it was too late. It was too late for this product to be recalled. People had already bought it. I think that the same way Farm Feed issued a statement saying that they were recalling their product and they were asking their clients, the ones that had already bought, to take it back and they would get refunds, is exactly what should have happened with the Mealie meal. Because like the Minister of Health said yesterday, and as we've been saying throughout the coverage of the story, this aflatoxin can be dangerous to human beings and their livers. And, you know, the challenge is that it can sometimes not be immediate. It's a long-term chronic problem that people have to endure, and you find a huge number of people in the next few years having their cancerous livers, you know, failing kidneys, and all those things. And yet, there has been an opportunity to fix this problem. It's just really, really worrying, especially that Mealie meal is a staple food here in Zambia. The number of people that could potentially be affected can be unprecedented. And yes, the government says investigations are ongoing, but I think it's important to make people aware so they can be cautious. It's always very important that people are made aware and, you know, are cautious of some of the decisions, cautious and conscious of some of the decisions that they make. But I also think that it's important for accountability, because how do you get such a product on the market? People must be held accountable. You know, what is the testing process? What is the accountability process itself? When you get a faulty product onto the market, then we need also some level of questioning on was due diligence followed? You know, like, how did this product find itself onto the market when it's harmful to human health? Even animal health is an important aspect. Having 400 dogs die is just insane. Having 400 dogs die in a space of about a month from the same problem is absolutely unbelievable. And it's the reason why we need accountability. You know, we need people to take accountability for this. The state yesterday entered the nolle prosequi in a matter where businessman Cedric Kasanda is accused of stealing $5 million from Egyptian businessman Michael Adel Botros at the Kennecound International Airport last year. It was related to the gold scandal. The gold scandal where I think everybody knows what the gold scandal is. So he's accused of having stolen $5 million from there. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday.
After spending a year in custody and close to 50 days, the aggravated robbery case linked to a gold scam scandal was cause listed before the Lusaka High Court. The state has dropped its case by entering a nolle prosequi against businessman Cedric Kasanda in a matter he is accused of stealing $5 million United States dollars from Egyptian businessman Michael Adel Botros at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport last year. In this matter, the accused is facing one count of aggravated robbery, contrary to Section 294, subsection 2 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia. It is alleged that the accused on August 13, 2023, jointly and whilst acting together with other unknown people armed with a firearm, stole $5 million United States dollars from Michael Adel Botros, an Egyptian national. At the time of the alleged theft, Mr. Kasanda immediately after the act threatened or used violence on Mr. Botros to prevent the victim from resisting the robbery. The decision to enter nolle prosequi comes after significant challenges by the state to secure 2 critical Egyptian witnesses before the Lusaka High Court. When the matter came up for trial before Judge Chilombo Maka, court rejected the state's application to adjourn the matter to Friday. Justice Maka had previously ordered the closure of the case due to the state's inability to produce the necessary evidence. She states that the state had been untruthful in the manner they have handled the case, while ordering them to make appropriate application to close their matter. The state has since sought to discontinue the proceedings by way of entering a nolle prosequi, indicating that the certificate would be facilitated in the course of the day. Though the state had not availed the certificate from the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, during the proceedings, Judge Maka discontinued the proceedings and discharged the accused person. She informs Mr. Kasanda that the discharge is not the acquittal and he may be rearrested. Best Jerry, Diamond News.
Okay, so after all of this, there were reports last evening that Mr. Kasanda had been rearrested on fresh charges, and he's been in there for quite a while, actually. For quite a while. He was arrested last year, and it has just been court after court after court. But you know, the first time that he was arrested, he had a lot of cases that he had to deal with. And everybody else that was involved in this case has been released but him. And so for him, this, one of the things you need to note about him is that when all of this just started, I remember he was very vocal. He could even speak from the back of the van that was taking him to the remand, taking him to remand. And, he would say things like he was going to break the ice, or he was going to spill the beans, and creating the impression that there were other people involved in all of this, bigger people involved in all of this. And that's the reason why he was very confident. He was really, really talking when all of this was ongoing. Oh my goodness, I never used to go through these problems when I just used pieces of paper. Maybe we should go back to that because it started pressing itself. But so he was, so basically what a nolle prosequi means is that the state discontinues prosecution, but is not off the hook like an acquittal would be. If the state finds more evidence in the same matter, they can still take him back to retrial. Hence the nolle prosequi. I was say nolle prosequi, but so that's the situation with him at the moment. Just on a side note, one of the things I find very interesting with him is when there was one time he was having breakfast. I think it was his birthday. He was having breakfast with his friends, and I think that the song was was it? Well, which one was it? There was a violinist who was it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. There was a violinist, and he was eating, and it was like one of those dinners in the Bible in Egypt, And it's like a feast, and there's a guy, I really just, every time, it never gets old for me, because every time I think about that, I get teary like this, because I laugh so much at that situation. I just found it really, that's like living large, like, man. Oh yeah, then Bobby had Cosmos do it for him. It's a good life if you can afford it. All right. Let's go to Kanyama. Why Kanyama? Because residents of the area in Tuafika along Kalushabwalia Road are living in fear of another cholera outbreak following the over 3 months of open sewage around the community. Now, the residents have called on Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company to come to their aid, citing fears of their children's health in the area that was a cholera hotspot in the last rainy season. Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company Public Relations Manager Ruth Mulenga says the facility is owned by a private developer, but the utility has the team on the ground to provide relief to the residents by fixing the problem. Let's take a look at this.
In Lusaka's Kanyama Township, Twafika area along Kalushawalia Road, a looming health crisis has left residents in a state of panic owing to acts of vandalism. For over 3 months, an open sewer has plagued the community, raising fears of a possible cholera outbreak.
Whereby during so complex
The situation is particularly alarming as this area was a cholera hotspot during the last rainy season. Residents were pleading with the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company to intervene before it's too late.
The cable which pumps this sewer system was being stolen. So they advised us to secure this place. So we even managed to raise money for cement, and they built this fence, but we supplied the cement. So now the issue is for them to put the gates and the security measures so that even as they bring back the pump, we don't experience such issues again. But their process is very slow. They are not treating this thing as an emergency.
But according to the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company, the sewer system in question is privately owned. Public Relations Manager Ruth Mulenga explains that the utility company is already taking steps to address the issue.
I would like to confirm that we have received a report of the sewer blockage that is at Kanyama Tafika Flats. So this is the property that is in private hands, but obviously the developer of the particular facility has formally requested from Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation to apply if Lusaka Water can take over the facility so that we can run it effectively. As it is right now, I think the system has collapsed and it is causing public health concerns to the residents and community around that area. So what we've done as Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation, we went to ground to check and assess the impact of the blockage, and we're sending in a team of experts to actually provide relief to the residents by way of unblocking the sewer system.
As the situation stands, residents like Yvonne Piri remain on edge, hoping the issue will be resolved before the rains begin. With the rainy season fast approaching, the community is racing against time to prevent another health disaster. As efforts to fix the problem continue, the residents of Kanyama can only hope their fears will not be realized. Nicole Namwinga, Diamond News.
Alrighty, very unfortunate. I mean, I know that we had a pretty bad outbreak last season of cholera, and I think that it's important that people are very cautious. And these are legitimate concerns that need to be addressed, especially given the fact that if there's one disease that can be prevented, it's cholera, because you're just basically, in fact, I think that prevention of cholera must be like some sort of human right, because, come on, basic hygiene should be something that every single person enjoys. And I think that it becomes a completely different story if it is out of your individual capacity to control. If it's, the environment that is controlled by a utility, it kind of makes it really, really complicated. And the population of Kanyama is massive, and that's the reason why, it can be a very dangerous place for it to be a hotspot. The irony of all of this is that this is coming a day after we were talking about an upgrade of Kanyama just yesterday. And then today we're talking about fecal matter openly, flooding the community. That's just unacceptable. And I hope that this can be sorted out soon. Unfortunately, and maybe I sound like a prophet of doom, but unfortunately, it's Kanyama now. And if you're talking about the problem being fixed in Kanyama, it's Kanyama now, but it's going to be a different place soon. It's probably happening in Matero or somewhere. This problem, and I pick Matero because we've covered so many such stories in that area of flowing sewage. And I mean, I remember just yesterday taking a look at a story, Mlonga Water in Kantanshi constituency, having an erratic water supply in that constituency, and this becoming a problem for people's access to clean and safe drinking water. Yeah, let's move on. Kantanshi constituency is like in the news again, and just like I said now, but this time around for them, they are not happy with the local authorities' failure to collect garbage in the area. It's just what I was saying, like it's literally what I'm from saying. The council has not collected garbage in their ward for 4 months, and the dump site is spreading near households, a situation that they say could cause diseases. Of course, it's likely to cause diseases, especially when it rains. But take a look at what Rogan Levika covered.
This garbage has been here for over 4 months, according to residents of Leah Mkutu ward of Kantanshi constituency in Mufrila district. The residents are not happy that the local authority of Mufrila has failed to collect the garbage, fearing that diseases might break out if this garbage is not collected soon. The collection of garbage should not be taking a week. That's why we elect councillors, for them to help our community to maintain hygiene. Because if I get sick, you also get sick. Even the country gets sick. And the president as well. Felix Chomba, who owns a grocery shop near the dump site, says the uncollected garbage is affecting his business. We pay the council's health, fire, and licensing departments, but they are neglecting us. People cannot be eating with this state. The council have failed their duties. Meanwhile, Mufrila Mayor has assured residents that the garbage will soon be collected.
We have areas where we need to dump, and would urge our people to say, take this to the skip bins and we'll be able to collect. We may not have enough, we are buying something, but for sure and for real, we've got a duty to collect.
It is a well-known factor that the local authority is responsible for collecting garbage in communities, but community members should as well play their part of ensuring that garbage is disposed in designated areas. Rogan Levika, Tamon News, Mufulira, Copperbelt Province.
It's like these problems are everywhere. If it's not in one part of Zambia, then it's in another. It's very, very, very unfortunate. But let's come back to health, and we've been talking health anyway. But according to the Zambia National Public Health Institute, Zambia faces an increasing threat of zoonotic diseases and illnesses that are transmitted from animals to humans. Public health officials are urging citizens to take proactive steps to protect themselves from their communities. When I hear diseases about animals, I start feeling itchy. I don't know what condition this is called, but I always kind of feel itchy. With over 60% of global infectious diseases being zoonotic in nature, the Zambia National Public Health Institute has intensified efforts to raise awareness and prevent outbreaks in the country. So what are zoonotic diseases? These are like anthrax, rabies, and diseases that come from animals to people. So they are becoming a significant concern in Zambia, especially in rural and peri-urban areas where close contact between humans and animals is very common. So there's a huge concern with regards to this, and people are being urged to be very, very cautious. Love Mosondashi has the details in this story.
Zambia is facing a threat from zoonotic diseases, illnesses that spread from animals to humans. Public health officials are urging citizens to take action to protect themselves and their communities. Over 60% of global infectious diseases are zoonotic in nature. In Zambia, diseases like anthrax, rabies and brucellosis are becoming a significant concern.
Messages with regards to zoonotic diseases. And what do I mean by zoonotic diseases? These are diseases that are passed on from animals to humans. So I should say that with the help of Breakthrough Action, which is sponsored by USAID, we have made headway by coming up with materials to encourage.
Zoonotic diseases are a serious public health threat in Zambia. Despite ongoing efforts to educate the public, the risk remains high, particularly in areas where people are not fully aware.
It's on record that 50 persons die of rabies every year in this country. And these are needless deaths because rabies is preventable. And the easiest way
The Zambia National Public Health Institute has intensified efforts to raise awareness and prevent the outbreak. A workshop in the Copperbelt region has been organized.
The impact of such a training is that you'll be able to transmit important information to communities, to the general public, that could save lives as opposed to doing the opposite. And so it will help us as media practitioners to understand on a daily basis, when to report, how to.
It's actually proven that there is more information that needs to go out there, especially when it comes to zoonotic diseases, as they form about 60% of global, diseases that we.
Love Mosondash for Diamond News in Kitwe.
Finally, let's talk about electricity or lack thereof. But now we're talking about the electricity hike, the proposed electricity hike by ZESCO. Welders in Lusaka are not happy with this initiative because they're saying that they will completely collapse as businesses. Some of them are telling Diamond News that load shedding will already increase the cost of doing business because they have to find alternative sources of energy, but then increasing the cost of electricity for them is not going to be great for business. Let's take a look at this.
The proposed hike in electricity tariff by the power utility company ZESCO for 3 customer categories of about 417,365 has received mixed reactions, with others supporting the move, while others have advised the power utility company not to proceed with their decision. Kasanda Mumba is a welder based in Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound who says he spends more than 500 units of electricity in a month due to the nature of his business, but fears the prolonged hours of load shedding has already affected the operations due to the expensive fuel used in the generator. He says if ZESCO increases the tariff as proposed, it will completely collapse their businesses because their operation costs have already doubled, coupled with the 17 hours of load shedding which commences next month.
There's no power, you want to increase power again, so then I don't know what they're thinking. So the only request is that propose, I don't think it should go through.
But energy expert Dr. Johnston Chikwanda has a different view on the matter and feels the decision is meant to cause those who use a lot of electricity to migrate towards more efficient energy sources, thereby freeing up some power for ZESCO to channel towards other productive sectors.
What this pain is going to do, because when the pain of maintaining the status quo becomes too much, change becomes inevitable. Believe me, this category, I'm seeing them start to migrate in a significant way to having their own generation at home.
But Chairman North Member of Parliament Yotam Tachalo has a different view and says fuel and electricity drive the wheels of production, and as such, any upward adjustment to the cost of electricity and fuel triggers the high cost of living and doing business in the country.
Situation like this one, when the country is experiencing one of the worst electricity crises, the government must come on board to aid the Zambia Electricity Supply Corporation, ZESCO, by providing a subsidy to the power utility in order to mitigate the importation of expensive emergency power.
The Energy Regulation Board, ERB, is tomorrow, 21st of August 2024, scheduled to hold public hearing at Mulungushi Conference Center on the proposed electricity tariff hike, and stakeholders and members of the public have been called upon to participate and make submissions. Puris Chota for Diamond News.
I find it interesting. Energy expert Dr. Johnston Chikwanda says that the proposed tariff hike will force households to consume more electricity to shift to using other alternative energy sources, allowing ZESCO to have more electricity to channel towards productive sectors. I find it really unfortunate because ZESCO is a business, and they are providing electricity to people in exchange for money. And one of the realities we have to keep in mind, ZESCO itself has failed to find alternative sources of energy because of the cost. They have failed to invest in alternative sources of energy because of the cost, like solar energy is very expensive actually. So I find it really, really hypocritical that this huge establishment, which supports affordable electricity for people, would expect people to buy the expensive energy that they couldn't. I mean, I know that the economies of scale are completely different, and what ZESCO would need to buy would be much more. But I think in the context, it is very similar that as an individual, I am able to afford the electricity that ZESCO supplies because they produce cheap electricity, because they've found cheap alternatives of producing electricity like hydro energy. And so they're able to produce cheap electricity. Now, expecting people to buy solar equipment, and I think we've seen how expensive it is. It is incredibly expensive, and that's the reason why it's not commonplace. Because if it wasn't expensive, you would see it in every household. People at the moment would much rather have 17 hours of load shedding than spend 50K on solar energy in a house, because they don't have it. A lot of them don't have it. And they also ask themselves the sustainability. Because if you don't spend a 50K and you spend 15K, you probably will have to spend another one within the next 12 months. And, that's very expensive. Very few families will spend 15,000 kwacha on electricity in a whole year. Very few families. I don't know what scale of a family that would have to be, but very few families would be able to spend that amount of money on electricity. And I'm not talking about the privileged members of society. I'm talking about the real ordinary Zambians out there who are in their largest numbers. So I think it has to be a give and take, really. It has to be a give and take, because I agree that it's complicated for an economy that doesn't have the money to subsidize. But that's the oxymoron, I guess, because if I'm in an economy that doesn't have money, I'm the one who needs the subsidy more. So developed countries subsidize for their people because their economy is able to do it. Their government has the money to do it. This government of Zambia is not able to subsidize for the people because they don't have the money. But between the person in the developed country and in the underdeveloped country, who needs the subsidy more? It's the person in the underdeveloped country, and that's the one that's not getting the subsidy. There's a lot going on, isn't it? That's a lot going on in Zambia. What a day.